Hello everyone, how are you today? I thought we would go and visit a crop circle in meditation today. Now I'm very lucky, I live only 2 hours away from where most of the crop circles in the UK appear, and this is the area in the UK. There are a lot of them that appear in Holland and quite a few others that appear in America. Okay, so that's the area we are going to. Now I've been visiting crop circles now for about, well over a decade, so I've probably been in about 12 or 13 of them. And I go down to an area 20 miles north of Stonehenge called Avebury, and it's where most of the crop circles appear. And every year I find one. I get up very early in the morning. I get up at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and I go and visit them. Because that's before the farmers get up and cut them out of the fields. I have been swooped on by a Chinook helicopter. I've had black obs follow me. Even the dog has laid flat when he's been scared when they've come close. And there are quite a few different thoughts on these crop circles. Some of them believe that they are ET made. Others believe that they are Mother Earth spewing out energy and making patterns for us. Some of them are man-made, but you can tell those because the way the corn is bent, it's actually broken, not bent. It appears that something very hot makes these because the nodes of the corn or the barley are actually, they're swollen like popcorn swells, so they bend over, they don't break over. And I have been with people who have been in excruciating pain for their whole life, and they have been able to throw their walking stick away and have 2 hours in a crop circle with no pain at all. Some of them make us feel sick, some of them give us headaches, others have made me lose my balance. The dog has acted quite weird in them, and indeed my last dog did, and they appear in the same places by sacred mounds like this one at Silbury Hill. They appear in all of these fields here on a regular basis. I've visited about 5 in these fields here. And they seem to be on ley lines. I've also been in crop circles when dowsers have walked in with the rods and the rods are going quite berserk. And he said, "Oh yes, this is a real one." And my mother said, "How do you know that?" And he said, "Because they do them over water courses." These hills in the south of England are chalk, so they are porous and there are a lot of underground springs. Okay, so we'll go to a crop circle. Now there are many pictures and many different glyphs. They've been appearing since, I think, about the 1600s. They used to be thought to be made by the devil. And there are certain churches. There's a Knights Templar church about 3 or 4 miles away from me along the Downs. I live by the sea, with very unusual corn motifs. And it is because crop circles have regularly appeared in the fields there, and that would have been on a major ley line, and it would have been the route that the knights would have taken when they went off for the Crusades 1100 1200, that kind of era. So very old ley lines, very old chapels, and a lot of activity from the Saxons along here, the Vikings, the Saxons, the Normans, and the ancients. Okay, right. The area we are going to go to is called Wiltshire in southern England, and it is the breadbasket of the UK. Okay, so without further ado, just start to relax yourself. And I'm just going to hold up this piece of sarsen stone from the area where the standing stones are, which was picked up in a field, in a crop circle. And I'd just like you to blow any physical pain into the stone. And then take another deep breath in and breathe any anxieties out into the stone. And then another deep breath in and breathing out any worries into the stone. And then a last deep breath in and breathe out any anger into the stone. And then just settle your breathing down to its natural pattern and start to close your eyes and let the scene of the room fade away. Nobody wants anything from you at this moment. Nobody needs anything from you at this moment. Start to relax your body from your head, your hair, your scalp, the back of your neck, smoothing out your furrowed brow, relaxing the muscles around the eyes and the nose, and dropping the jaw, lowering the tongue to behind the lower front teeth, and breathe out, checking for any tension and gently letting that tension go. Now relax your neck and your shoulders, feeling me placing my hands on your shoulders now so that you drop them. And I'll just send Reiki energy down your arms to relax them. Your elbows, your forearms and your hands. Again, making sure your shoulders are dropped. Your chest is loose and your tummy muscles and lower back are loose. Nobody wants anything from you at this moment. Nobody needs anything from you at this moment. Relaxing the muscles in your abdomen and your hips, your thighs and your glutes. And relaxing your knees and your shins and calves, your ankles and your feet. And then I'd like you to let the scene of the room fade away. And imagine yourself in a car park along this road, just out of sight. And there's an old American Army van in there, with a gentleman with a dark brown curly hair and moustache. And he is one of the local crop circlers who tells people where to go and the etiquette of walking in the farmer's fields. This farmer has very graciously allowed us to visit, and there is a collection box for you to put some money in. So we put our pennies in the box, and he shows us which way to go. So I'm going to walk at the head of us, and with each step I'd like you to grow roots down into the chalky soil, and down through the roots of the barley crop that we're walking through, and down through the chalk, and down to the very centre of the earth, where they find a foothold to keep us held tight to the mother. And now we're walking up one of these trams. Keep walking up the tram lines. Hold your hands out and just run it across the tops of the soft shimmering barley. The wind is blowing. The dogs are tearing ahead of us up the tram lines. And a skylark is singing, calling out her warning. Be careful, my nest is on the ground over there. And you keep walking, and the field starts to move upwards. And you're running your hands across the top of the soft barley. And as you look behind you, you see the wheat wolves being blown through the grass by the wind. That's what we call them here, the wheat wolves, snaking through, rippling the crop. And it gets a bit steeper, this field, and then suddenly you start to feel a pressure around the bottom of your legs, and it causes you just to wobble a bit. You grab hold of the barley to steady you. Is this the chi being emitted from the crop circle? So just stand still again and ground, sending your roots down into the earth. Inviting your guides and helpers, and even the ancients, for protection. And then we start walking again as a group, upwards and upwards and upwards. We can see the silhouettes of people on the top of the hill, obviously walking in the crop circle. Just a little further now. You are so excited. You've always wanted to visit a crop circle. And then we are here, and you pause. And then step over into the threshold. And depending on the glyph that you see is what you will need to absorb at that time. And you see channels. And you may even see woven parts on top of each other. Little whirls with barley standing up. And just take a moment now to walk sunwise around one of the channels in the crop circle. It's quite big. It may have other shapes coming off of it. They're not all circles. They may have multiple circles. Just take a few moments now before we go to the middle. Feeling the wind in your hair. Hearing the skylarks. And feeling the energy and absorbing the sights. And now we all make our way to the centre. Lots of the other people have left now. Where we sit in a circle. Now if some of you have got a bit of a headache, just reground, grow roots out of your shoulders this time. And if some of you are feeling a bit sick, take some sips of water. But some of you may be feeling revitalized and energetic. Your pain may have gone. So I'd just like you now to lie back in a star shape. And just see if you can feel it activating your chakra line from base, sacral, solar, heart, throat, third eye and crown. And then all the energy centers above you and the ones below you. open and absorb. And breathe out. And then you roll over onto your tummy. And you start to investigate the corn, the barley that is in front of you. See where the nodes are burnt. See where they are twisted. Not one of them is broken. The amazing formations and channels. But the whorls are the most spectacular. And depending on if it is young or old barley, the young barley was a lot greener and springs up back into shape more quickly. And you decide to pull some of the corn out and take it with you. And you just run your hand along the shaft, feeling where the nodes are bent and swollen by the heat that was used to make this. And you start to wonder. You may have seen YouTube videos of lights moving fast, creating a whooshing sound, creating these. There are many different thoughts of who the corn circle makers are. Some say the earth, some say the ETs, some say the fairies. Others say us. But quite often, these are not always in easily accessible or visible areas. And just cast your eye over the patchwork quilt of England that you can see before you. You can see in the distance a long hillside, and this actually stretches from the Isle of Wight all the way up to Wales, and it's called the Ridgeway. And along that ridgeway, you can see round bonsai looking woods, little circles with trees on top. These are the Bronze Age barrows of the chieftains. This was a very sacred land. People would drive their cattle, pigs and sheep here and spend months here. The Great Henge at Avebury would have been a religious centre. Are these glyphs made by the souls of the ancients, you wonder? How many people have walked here? What memories does the land hold? And then you look at Silbury Hill, Europe's man-made pyramid, made in the same formation as the Great Pyramid at Giza, and at the same time, ideas were clearly exchanged. What would it have looked like? Would it have had grass, or would it have been gleaming white, packed chalk? What did they make it with? Antlers, bones, hip bones, collarbones of oxen. Baskets on their backs full of stones and chalk and sarsen. How many years? Hundreds of years. Thousands. And then you can see the long barrow at West Kennet, and then the one at East Kennet, which predates even the stone circles. And all the while the wind whips up your hair, and the skylark sings her tune. And you now plat your corn or barley. And sigh out. Some of you may even find your hands tingle with the energy. That is quite natural, especially if you are a healer and susceptible to chi. For now, it is time to leave, so you put your drink of water back in your backpack. You may have been lucky enough to find a stone or a piece of chalk or flint. Here's another one found in the Barrowlands. I like to think it's a knife, but I don't think it is. And we step out of the circle and start to walk back down the tram lines, downhill. Grounding in the experience with each step. Perhaps even singing a happy song because your heart has been lifted. And then we arrive back at the edge of the field. And we feed back out past the hedgerow and into the car park, where we wave at our friend and thank him. And then just imagine standing there, growing your roots back down again, and letting the Wiltshire scene fade away, and bringing yourself back into the room. And breathe out again. And next time I go to a crop circle, of course I can't at the moment because I can't get to them, I will video the experience for you. Bye bye.